Today we are going to discuss about the sentiment analysis as a project architecture. First, I have collected the data by web scraping, and then I have put the data in the CSV file, and afterwards I have used the code and I scraped the data which is required, and I created a one field which would be a sentiment analysis kind. For that I have created a three columns named a positive, neutral and negative sentiments, and there, like, whatever data I have, like if one person is saying you are pathetic or you are not you're a realist, then in this kind of a data the negativity is at a maximum. And if one says that I have no idea what she wants to say, then that idea to some extent looks neutral. So that kind of analysis could be done from the data, and I'll explain like how I would be using the Python code. Afterwards, I would be using the ingestion. I would be putting the data, whichever I have created, whichever I have uploaded to the Azure, and then I will upload to the SQL. Afterwards, I would be doing kind of a processing. Uh, Although there are two kinds of ways like we can do a processing, but in my case, as I would be processing the data in the initial end by using a Python code, so instead of using the machine learning studio, I would be doing beforehand in my PyCharm. Afterwards I would be doing a visualization of our data. Let's go through. So first of all, I'll create a cognitive services, and here in the Azure, first I have created a cognitive services, and there in instead of a text analytics, now the language service comes. So here I have created the language service, and it would ask me to create it. And what this thing would be used cognitive, it would do a sentiment analysis, key phrase extraction, pre-built question answering, conversational language understanding, named entity recognition, text summarization, text analytic for health. So here I would be putting the resource group, which I have earlier explained in my previous video, that how I create a resource group. So afterwards I would be naming my service. So instead of a cognitive Navneet, I would be using the Twitter like cognitive services, as I have created earlier, but as it won't allow me to do repeat again, so one can do any, like one can name anything. So I would be using the Azure account for student, and then I will be creating. So as I told you, like I have already created a Twitter cognitive. So the way would be used as a similar, which I have explained here. So it got created, and it would say that I have created the language type of. So afterwards, now I have to get the key and endpoints. Why I need the key and the endpoints? Because that would be used in my Python code, like for doing the sentiment analysis. So how to do it? Just click on the Twitter cognitive service, and on clicking it, go to the keys and endpoints, and then click on the show keys. So it will show the key, and then endpoint would be this. So now before I go to the my code, now let's do a one kind of create a one storage, because the code would do it will create a one CSV, and that I will be uploading by using a text blob to that I would be like using that CSV, I would be uploading it to the text blob container that would be in the storage. So for that I need some kind of a storage. So for that, what I'll do in the portal Azure, just type a storage. So click on the storage account, and then create the storage account. So as I have created underneath storage, and then review and create it. So this thing would get created. So underneath storage. So what I'll do, I'll just click on the underneath storage, and then storage browser. Afterwards, on clicking the storage browser, I would be shown this like blob container. As I have explained earlier, like my main motive is to create some kind of a CSV file and then upload to the blob container. So This is the basic structure which I have got it ready. Now let's code it. So for this I have used some libraries like pandas, and then from there I just read the CSV file. Then I imported the library CSV. Then I figured out I have got the CSV file which through the web scraping that I have used here. And then I have opened that file, and I use my Azure credentials, I use my endpoints. Why I have used? Because this thing would help me to connect to my cognitive services. That's why there the analysis would happen from this endpoint to my Azure's endpoint. So this code would be used here. So the connection is being built, and the analysis would be done. And for that, what would happen, here I have created some dummy kind of a thing. Like here what I did, like after doing the analysis I have created a one more CSV file. So after doing analysis from the, so I am using the services from the Azure, I'm doing the analysis, I'm creating again the CSV, and then I am again storing the CSV, created CSV file with some kind of analysis data, positive, neutral, and negative. And after creating, like I have, as I have created the updated CSV file, so this could be, I would be uploading the code itself, like which code I have used. So these are the snippets which I have used. So here I use the updated, like here I would be storing that after doing the analysis, and it would be writing, because whatever analysis has happened, that thing I would be taking from here, and I would be using an empty document, and then IDs here I would be like putting the strings of IDs, and I would be updating it, and I would be creating the updated CSV. So now my CSV got created. As I have explained, there are two ways to do first one is to get the analysis done at a first hand, or to get the analysis done at the third stage, like at a processing stage, where I can use the machine learning studio. But as of now I am doing my analysis at a first hand, and then I would be uploading to my blob container. So I have created the CSV with some sentiment analysis. So here I would be uploading the blob. So as I know, as I have earlier created the one empty blob, like earlier as I explained, I have made my containers already ready. So by creating the blob, now I would be pushing, because the code itself which I have used, that would be pushing the updated CSV to this. So there are two codes which I have used here. One to create the updated CSV, and the another one is used to push the text to the blob, or you can say that code would be used to push the data or text blob to the blob container. So that here I haven't put, but I would be showing you later like how I have used. So this is the updated CSV file which I have got uploaded here. So now let's create the SQL database first, because now the data got uploaded, but now I have to convert this blob file, or like this updated CSV file, to the SQL database. And for that I would be using the SQL database, and then just click on the SQL database, and there just write the subscription and resource group which I am using, then database name, and then create, and afterwards it will get created. Now I have to create a table, so one has to click on the query editor. So whatever SQL database gets created, so just click on the query editor, and in the query editor just it will ask for credentials, SQL Server credentials, these would be the same credentials which we would be using while creating the SQL database. So here afterwards I have to create a table, so just create the table with the name this, or any other name you can say. So put the whatever fields in the CSV file are there, so just create the similar kind of a fields over here, and afterwards it will show me this kind of a thing, like after creating this. So data types will be shown. Now we will map the blob data to the SQL, because we have got ready our dummy kind of a SQL database, but now we have to fill this database with some data. And from where this data, on the first hand, which data we have, like updated CSV file or the blob file which got uploaded, that same file I would be uploading to the SQL database, or I can say I would be mapping that file. And for this I would be using the data factory. So how it could be done? So just write on the data factory, and here the data factory gets created, and then just write the name of a data factory, review and create, and afterwards the data factory, when like gets created, just click on it, and then click on the open Azure Data Factory Studio. Then afterwards on the new data factory, or like whatever is the name of your data factory, click on ingest, and then ingest, and then next, and then the here next. Actually what happens here, the first source and target settings and review and finish would happen. So here on clicking the source type, just click on the Azure blob storage, because we would be using a blob storage. And then connection, so for this connection you can create the new connection. So here what it would be taking, just name your connection, and then the subscription, so Azure for students, and then the storage account. So the whatever storage account I have earlier created, on in which my blob file is located, that thing I have to select here. So on selecting this, I would be creating a new connection, and then yes, I have created. Then I would be choosing a files and folder, that field will come, and I would be choosing the, because once we create a connection, then it will automatically detect that which files are there in that at blobs container. So from here I could upload my CSV file. Then just preview the data, like whatever is in it, so it will preview me. And if you are not seeing any data, it means it's not uploaded. So afterwards I have to click on the next, and there I have to like set something, like what destination data store I would be using. You can use any data store, but here as of now, I would be mapping the CSV file to the SQL database, so here I would be using the SQL database. And then database final update would be like connection I have already used, so that I would be using. So and next I would be using Azure blob storage file. So for that I would be choosing like whatever database. So here basically in the destination data store, you can create a new connection. It basically asks you for where one has created the SQL database. So as you know that earlier I have created one SQL database, so just figure it out where you have created that database, and that connection would be there, and just write the name, and then you can select that. And in that database I would be checking on the table name. So whatever table I have created, so I would be choosing this. And then next, and then review and finish. Okay, review and finish. Then afterwards the pipelines, whichever gets you have named it, it would get generated. In my case I have written the name of pipeline as a Twitter pipeline, like while this pipeline would come here itself, like while choosing this, after mapping the data, this pipeline name would come. So what you can do, like click on the monitor, you can see, and check if the status gets succeeded or failed. Sometimes it gets failed because of inconsistency in the column names, or column not column names but column data types. So in that case it usually fails. So check whether and the pipeline got succeeded or it got failed. Then afterwards one has to get the visualization. For this you just go to the SQL database, and to your database which you have created, where you have like created your SQL database, like dummy SQL database, which we have like empty SQL database, and now there the data must have got failed because it got mapped. So now by